His chest is touching the Kaba and the holiest of holies in the haram of Allah. And yet he notices that he doesn't feel anything. So in Islamic history, there's this very famous caliph known as Haroon Al-Rashed. And stories and tales of wonder are written about him and about his reign. And he had a magnificent reign, Haroon Al-Rashed. They say that he would look up at the clouds and say, "Go reign wherever you want, its benefits will come to me." Meaning the vast majority of the earth is under my reign and my dominion. So you reign wherever, its benefits, its produce, its good will come to me. And subhanallah, just coincidentally, when Haroon Al-Rashed reached the precipice of death, when he knew death is imminent, he asked the people in the court, the people in the palace, to show me my grave. So they took him to the cemetery where he would be buried once he dies. And he found a dugout grave. Subhanallah, like just behind him, around him, is the palaces of Haroon Al-Rashed, a kingdom that stretches far beyond any imagination. And now he will leave all of this and come and be buried in this little grave here. So he realized his smallness and the temporariness of the life here and the emptiness of the kingdom. So he turned to his Lord saying, "Ya man la yazalu mulkuh, irham man qad zala mulkuh." O you whose dominion does not expire, whose kingdom doesn't run out, have mercy on the one whose kingdom has just expired. Like, my time is finished. I'm leaving all of this and coming to you. So this famous Haroon Al-Rashed one day went to Hajj. And when he came to Hajj, he was doing the tawaf around the Kaba. And for those of you who have been between the black stone and the door, there's a place called Maqam Multazim, where you put your chest on the wall of the Kaaba and you supplicate and make dua and turn to your Lord with your requests and seeking forgiveness. So Haroon Al-Rashed is attached to the Kaaba. His chest is touching the Kaaba. He's in Maqam Multazim, and the holiest of holies, in the haram of Allah, in the house of, touching the Kaaba. And yet he notices that he doesn't feel anything, like what a heart should feel, from connection, from proximity, from closeness to his Lord. He realized his heart isn't feeling it. And they were good people in the olden days, so cognizant of a heart, cognizant, aware that there's something wrong here. And subhanallah, and we live in a time now where world leaders have no idea that there is such a thing as conscience and as a heart, and something that you must make sure that, intrinsically, internally, that is looked after. So Haroon Al-Rashed returned to wherever his place of rest would be, and he told his men, "Is there a scholar in Mecca that can give me advice, that can talk to me, so that this hardness of heart and this rust of the heart can be removed and the heart can be softened so that the heart can connect to its master?" So they mentioned the name of a scholar. So he went to the house of the scholar, and the announcer announced that Amir al-Mu'mineen Haroon Al-Rashed has come seeking an audience. And obviously the sheikh from inside the house would hear, the caller of the Khalifa, And he would rush and maybe put on his abaya and maybe put on his bisht and come to receive the Amir al-Mu'mineen, Haroon Al-Rashed, at the time the King of Kings. So he went with the first sheikh and talked to him, and the sheikh gave him some words of encouragement and advice. And Haroon Al-Rashed politely ended the meeting and walked out, and after a few steps told his men, this didn't make any effect on me. There's no change. Is there another sheikh, another doctor of the hearts? So they took him to another one, and he went there, and the caller called Amir al-Mu'mineen, Haroon Al-Rashed is at your door seeking an audience. And obviously the sheikh rushes and comes and meets the Khalifa, takes him inside and spends a few moments with him, talking to him. And Haroon Al-Rashed, in his anxiety growing, like, what is happening? I sense no change in my heart. Spent some time with him, enough to meet the requirements of politeness, if you like, and then excused himself, and walking out told his person that, listen, this has not done much for me. Is there another scholar around? So finally they said, there's one here. He's somewhat different. Fudhail ibn Iyad. So he said, let's go to Fudhail, rahimahullah ta'ala. So they went to the door of Fudhail, and Fudhail used to spend a lot of time in the worship of Allah Rabbul Izzah and in seclusion. And he had a little lamp that would burn whilst he's worshipping. So the lamp is on, he's in his worship, in his quarters, in his house. So the caller calls, the Amir al-Mu'mineen has come seeking an audience. Beyond expectation comes the response of Fudhail. He goes, what do I have to do with Amir al-Mu'mineen? Like, what is there that I need from him or he needs from me? Like this, what, So the caller says, trying to reference to Fudhail, the verse of the Quran, أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. Obey Allah and obey the Prophet and those in charge of your affairs, as in the leader of the believers. So citing the verse, like you're telling Fudhail, you owe obedience to the Khalifa by the dictate of heaven. So Fudhail said, I haven't finished from the obedience of Allah and His Prophet, and you're calling me to the obedience of this person. So anyway, reluctantly Fudhail came, but he turned his lamp off. So when he came at the door, it was dark. In those days there was no street lights. And so Haroon Al-Rashed extended his hand, and Fudhail grabbed it in the dark. And when he grabbed it, so in those days, life was hard. So the common man had to do a lot of physical work himself. So he would chop wood, he would grind, whether it is oats or corn or wheat for flour and for bread. He would handle animals as his horse or this or that. So the common hand was rough because of the amount of physical work a person used to do. And the hand of those who are affluent, who didn't need to touch anything for day-to-day chores, was considerably softer. If you touched their hand, you would notice a difference from the normal hands you're used to shaking, on the street, in the mosque and so on. So when he touched the hand of Haroon Al-Rashed, this is the hand of the Khalifa, who, physically has got very little demands on him to work. So very soft, very gentle. So he said, holding his hand, he goes, "Oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, how delicate are your hands? How will they cope against the fire of Jahannam?" So Haroon started to weep. And they say he fell down weeping. There's a couple of points to draw here. Number one, great people are always aware of the condition of their hearts. And the same way they try to make sure that physically they are functioning well, to meet their obligation of salah and worship and life and livelihood. They also have a similar or greater focus on their hearts. And they're aware that Allah Rabbul Izzah does not look at the external. He Azza wa Jal, as per the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, looks at your hearts and at your deeds. So part of our focus must be the heart. And all great things that Allah Rabbul Izzah wants from us will reside in the heart. So one of the greatest achievements is taqwa. And the Prophet ﷺ pointed to his blessed chest, as in his heart, and he said, "At-taqwa ha huna, at-taqwa ha huna." Taqwa is here, taqwa is here, as in taqwa of the qulub. And in trying to focus on the heart and work on the heart and fix the heart, a great technique that you can see here in Haroon Al-Rashed and you see in others is to find a person that can remind you, give you advice and encouragement and admonition, so that the heart can get cleaned. So Haroon Al-Rashed found Fudhail ibn al-Iyad. Me and you have access, walillahi alhamd, to millions of different shuyukh and ulama and scholars and du'at and ahl al-khair and ahl al-fadl. And part of our weekly, if not daily routine should be that we spend a few moments listening to reminders that affect our heart and pull it and guide it and motivate it and encourage it towards righteousness and encourage it towards its purity and its goodness. So Allah Rabbul Izzah has blessed us with a wonderful month, the month of Ramadan. And it is the month in which the hearts get corrected. And it is a month in which the desired outcome is a direct impact on the heart. And that is taqwa. So as you busy yourselves with worship and as you busy yourselves with the ibadah of the Dhul Arsh al-Majid, and your bodies and the physical is busy, make sure that the heart is impacted. Allah bless you, Allah guide you, Allah guard you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.